Hi, I'm Katie Yeoman reporting for KD Chats at the TiffNextWave Film Festival at the TIFF BELL LIGHTBOX in downtown Toronto. I'm here with filmmakers Adam and Andrew Gray for COLT FLY. How does it feel for you guys to have your world premiere here at the TiffNextWave?
It's great. It's a wonderful festival. We're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, we couldn't be more pleased to start the film with a teenage audience. I mean, because this is about a teenager outlaw, you know, and teens were his fans all over the world. So for us, it's going to be really cool to be in a theater and see how teenagers react to it, because it's really for them in a lot of ways. Yeah.
And for those who aren't super familiar with Colt, tell me, why he's so sort of badass and, why he was such a great subject to make this film about.
He's just an incredible kid. So much courage and resourcefulness, and he was just very unique.
Yeah. Well, I think what grabbed us about the story and we've made other documentaries in the past, and our theme is unbelievable. And when we heard this story, I was like, this is unbelievable. How is this possible? That a kid who's on the run from a halfway house, living in the woods, in a tent, sometimes without a tent, teaches himself how to fly an airplane with stolen airplane manuals and online, flight simulators. While living in the woods and on the run, he goes after his dream, and he somehow achieves that, through criminal intent. Yeah. But, it's a pretty incredible story. And the fact that he could go for 2 years without getting caught, steal cars all the way across the country and fly to the Bahamas and, boat chases and car chases. It's unbelievable, but true.
And while you were making the film, did you try to get in touch with Colt himself, or have you spoken to him at all, and has he seen it, or will he see it?
He wouldn't have seen it yet. We did try to reach out to him. But I mean, this film was started a long time before he was even captured, so we never had the idea that we would get an interview with him. And then after his capture, it really wouldn't make sense for him to do an interview, because it was a very important part of his defense that he's playing down the folk hero business.
Yeah. And for us, as you say, we started pitching the film and writing it long before he was captured. So our initial idea, and an idea that we wanted to stick to, was that the film wasn't about Colton's perception. It was about the legend. It was about how his fans perceived him, how people who are following the story in the media imagined him. Because I think part of what's so fascinating about him is that everyone has their own mental version of who Colt is, or why he was doing what he was doing. Because all we really know is what he did. There's this trail of evidence and little things he left behind, and little snippets of stories we hear. So I find it tantalizing that way, that it's a mystery.
Yeah, it's an action film as much as a documentary can be an action film.
Definitely.
But it's also a mystery which really can't be solved. And so we just put it out there and let people see what they think.
Well, and how did you initially find out about Colton?
We were doing research and writing a screenplay on Billy the Kid, and a lot of journalists would drop names like Billy the Kid. He's just like Jesse James, all these old outlaws. So we just turned up in a search, and you see this photo, which he's taken of himself in the woods, and he's got earbuds on, and he's wearing a Mercedes shirt, and he's got a bit of a goofy grin on his face. And then you read, and then you read about this photo. It's a photo that was obtained by the police from a stolen camera after he jumped out of a moving stolen car, and it was just incredible. And you just look into his eyes, and we were hooked.
Wow, cool. And you also used different types of multimedia and some very cool animation. Can you speak to that process and how you pieced it all together?
Yeah, well, the animation is a really important part of it, and we wanted to have the animated version of Colton as sort of the legend. It's how we imagine him, and we get to have him doing things that in a documentary you normally can't afford to do, like crashing airplanes and having car chases, and we get Black Hawk choppers and all that sort of thing. And I think there's the comic book look of it, the graphic novel look, you know, sort of loans itself to the outlaw folk hero, I think. And news, of course, like we have all the news throughout the thing that Drew and I, because we've been following the story, we kept track of every news story that was ever done on him. And I think that's, you know, it's historical documents. It's interesting to see, you know, at that moment in time, how these reporters feel about him and how the people they're interviewing feel about him. You know, you can see it evolve throughout the film as it gets more and more serious.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely noticed that initially one woman I think called him a cockroach, and then by the end you sort of see these kids who he's become a hero figure for. Mm-hmm. And speaking of that, do you think, you know, are you worried about their film maybe making a bad influence, or do you think like it's just more of a joyride and people will just love the adventure of it?
Well, obviously it was a big concern towing the line between you know, how we're representing this kid and what he did, and obviously we don't condone any of the criminal acts. But I also don't really feel it's a place for film to make that decision. So we tried to just sort of put it out there.
Yeah, I mean we encountered a lot of anger along the way. Like when we spent a couple months down in Camano Island, where he was from, in the Orcas Island, and a lot of the people are still friendly and you know, they have sympathy for him. But other people, I remember one time we were filming some mailboxes down by his mother's house, and this guy pulled up in this truck and he's like, "What the bleep 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 are you doing?" We're like, "Well, doing a documentary about Colt Harris." And I'm gonna go and get my gun and I'm gonna shoot you if you don't get out of here. And we're like, "Oh, could we film? Could you say that again? We'd love to get that on tape." And so there was that kind of thing as well. So, you know, there is a mixture of animosity as well as people who thought what he was doing was interesting. But I mean, I guess another thing we always say when people say you shouldn't make a film about a criminal is, well, you know, there's The Godfather, and, you know, should you not have made The Godfather because it's about a criminal? I think one of the first films was Great Train Robbery, you know, so I think good outlaw stories are fun.
Absolutely. And where can we find out more information on the film, and where can we see it?
Information-wise, we have a website, coltflymovie.com, and it's going to screen at the Royal next week.
Yeah, the Royal Cinema from the 21st to the 27th. We'll be playing here Sunday, the 16th at 8, and we're on Facebook, Colt Fly on Facebook, Twitter, you know, all those sort of things.
Cool. Great. Well, thank you so much. Congratulations on a terrific film. It's so much fun, and best of luck here at the festival and in the future as well.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, that was fun.
Thanks. I'm Katie Allman reporting for Katie Chats at the TiffNextWave Film Festival at the TIFF BELL LIGHTBOX in downtown